Okay, testing, sound check, Potato cam check is actually working today. Excellent. Well, good evening once again. This is One More Voice, and it's time for another video. Now, I was thinking actually to do something a little bit less political today and actually just kind of jump into a random thing. I'm probably going to be doing this more often because it's probably good for my health overall. So, one thing we're going to be looking at today is relationships and why a lot of them tend to fail. Now, this is something that could go on for video after video after video, because entire libraries have been written on advice books on this, and entire genres have been invented when it comes to movies that talk about this subject. So, but I honestly think it can actually be boiled down into a couple of key components. So, oh yeah, and I'm no longer living out of hotel rooms right now, so that's a good thing. So, why a lot of relationships tend to fail. I'm going to go ahead and chalk this one up to something I see all the time, or that I've seen all the time. Actually, most of the people that I'm hanging around right now tend to have their relationships stabilizing, but there's always that handful. So the thing that I've tended to notice again and again where relationships fail is something rather simple, and that is expectations not being the person that you are with. Basically, you are expecting a completely different thing out of the relationship, and it's just not going to work out, and there are no compromises made. Now, that seems like really basic advice, but basic does not necessarily mean easy, and basic does also not necessarily mean, difficult to understand or prevent. Like, for instance, the common cold is a basic illness, and it's still something that's all over the place and very difficult to prevent and pretty much impossible to cure. So what do I mean when I say that people have expectations that they are just not going to move on? Well, I don't mean during the relationship. I mean primarily before the relationship. I think the issue is that people have this idea in their heads as to what a relationship is or what their relationship is supposed to be. And this is something that both men and women do with their partners. Is that they say, oh, well, being in a relationship means this. It means this bullet list of things that is going to be fulfilled, or it's not a good relationship. They're going to say that they love me every X weeks, and if they don't, then there's a problem. They're going to show me affection, every X day, or there's a problem, X amount of times per week. Basically, the point is that they're basically trying to mold it into something that they already have a preset notion in their head as to what the relationship is going to be. And this is where people go wrong, because here's the thing. Now, there's a phrase that goes around every now and again when people want to talk about how special they are, and it's, you are unique, just like everyone else. And this holds quite a bit of truth to it. Everybody is, in their own way, different. Now, granted, there's a lot of overlap. But for the most part, everybody is their own unique person, and you can spend an entire lifetime with somebody and not recognize what makes them different until you run into that one scenario where they're different, where they're going to react in a different way, and it completely catches you off guard. Now, a lot of people really don't take this into account when they're getting into a relationship, because they have this idea in their heads of what the relationship is supposed to be. And if you don't get that, then it's not a relationship. And see, therein lies the error. Because every person is different, and because everybody has their own unique set of attributes, personality traits, and temperaments, what's eventually going to happen is that you're going to run into a scenario that is not a good relationship marker, according to whoever wrote these rules, and you're going to begin to panic, or the other person's going to begin to panic, and then that person will begin thinking, well, maybe the relationship's not good, and they'll begin looking for problems in the relationship. And that causes stress, and the more stressed out you are, the less of the less capable you are of being in a good relationship. See, that's the problem. A lot of people get into relationships because they think it's going to fix their problems. Relationships don't fix anything. It's not like a +1 value to your life. A relationship is it's a series of actions and reactions between two people. It's a series of interactions, and it doesn't always last forever, but it can greatly improve your life. It can greatly improve your life, or it can actually tear your life down. Now, a lot of people get into a relationship because they think that it's going to fix everything, because a relationship is a net positive to your life. You know, if you're not in a relationship, well, then there's something wrong, but if you're in a relationship, then clearly things are going well for you. Not so. You can be in a relationship with a stalker. The relationship is that the stalker is going after you and you don't want anything to do with it. That is a relationship between you and another person. So, no, that is not the case. So when you go into one, when you begin dating somebody and you immediately think they're going to act in this series of ways, and then they don't, and then you begin panicking, well, then that puts you in a bad headspace. When you're in a bad headspace, your ability to actually react properly to another person, or at the very least cooperate and react well, it's diminished. It's going to go away, and therein lies the issue. So here's the problem. People are using this template for a relationship that really doesn't work with most people, instead of coming up with your own, which is what everybody should do. When you begin dating somebody, you should honestly try to see as much of them as possible. Now, I don't mean in a time frame. I mean you should basically try to figure them out down to their marrow. Not literally, you psychopath. Put the hammer and the hacksaw down. This is not that kind of video. That's for next week. So, what I mean is that when you begin dating someone, you should try to figure them out. You should try to figure out who they are, where they've been, what their life experiences are, their likes, their dislikes. And of course, you don't need to know this all at once. You mostly just need to know it as it comes. And they're going to want to know you as well. The two of you should basically be learning more about each other, finding what areas that you do work together, and then finding the areas that you don't. If you truly want to be with this person, then you should find the optimal way to live with them. Imagine that if you were locked in a room, don't worry about eating, sleeping, or any of those physiological needs. If you were locked in a room with this person, how long could you stay in there without wanting to throttle them? This is a good way to start. And what could you do to minimize that time frame? Now, this seems like a very strange thing, but when I say amount of time, for a good relationship, this should be like a couple of decades. Like, you should be able to be... This should be something that would take a lot of time and boredom. But the longer that timeline is, the better the relationship is. So basically, I guess what I'm getting to the point of this long, rambling little speech is, if you truly want to be in a good relationship with somebody, you should not start out looking for a set of values in a person. You should find a person that you like getting along with, that you like being in their presence. And then what you should do is that you should slowly start dating them, and then more and more begin sharing more and more of your life with them. And don't be afraid. Because if you're holding things back from a person because you're afraid of how they'll react, or you think that they're going to throw you away, well, then in that case, then that's not a good relationship already, because you think that they wouldn't like you for that. Now, does this mean that you have to share absolutely everything? Like, you need to go to your internet search history and be like, so, remember when I was left alone for a couple of days, and well, I went ahead and read this, and this, and I looked. No, you don't need to do that. But what you probably should do is that you should probably not be afraid to talk about anything. You shouldn't be afraid to talk about past experiences. You shouldn't be afraid to talk about your ethical stances on certain things. You should share those. And if you get to a point where the two of you absolutely cannot agree on something, then you have to think, what is more important to me? All of the good that this person brings to my life, or this one aspect of my life? And then what you should do is that if it's a tie, or if it's more important than the other person, then you should figure out if the two of you can steer clear. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's a part of your life that you simply can't get around, and in that case, the relationship has to end. But that's okay. Because what this is doing is that you are slowly finding the person that is best for you. You are slowly finding the person that you can truly live with, that you can be yourself around. And that is what relationships are for. That is what dating is for. So never go into a relationship thinking this is going to be the one, this is going to be my last one, this is going to be the best one. Or this is, oh my god, this is my first relationship, I have to get everything perfect. Or, oh man, this is the rebound, it's absolutely nothing, it's going to be, this is a fling. No, don't go into a relationship thinking anything. Or, okay, don't go into a relationship with any preset expectations or engineering in mind. Because a relationship is not one person engineering another one, unless we're talking about arranged marriages, in which case, no, get out. But it should be two people trying to figure out if they can live with each other. Or, sometimes I guess some people just want short-term relationships, but a short-term relationship can turn into a long-term joining of lives, and that's beautiful. So, I guess this has been my little rant-style video. I hope you all have a very nice day, and I am one more voice. Enjoy.